I get on top of this metal roof because we gotta get this thing done, especially before dark now. And there's lightning and thunder still going off in like the far distance.
Yeah.
And the worst hailstorm that's probably hit Bismarck hits. And so we're
like the hails were like they were bigger than golf balls.
Yep.
Golf ball size. They were huge.
$5,000 to $10,000 on a honeymoon. We might as well just put that as a down payment on a van.
So why not buy a $65,000 van?
Yes.
What's up, guys, and welcome back to another episode of It's Finally Nighttime Podcast, episode 4.
Episode 4, we have tried to film this and record this numerous times, especially in the last week and a half. We tried it on 2 different nights.
Yep.
Didn't work out. Between Layla waking up, the topic we're talking about, we're doing like a wedding Q&A pretty much.
Yeah.
And it just did not.
It just got very deep, and I didn't want it to be very deep right away. Maybe later down the road we can do something like that, but I didn't want to do something very deep.
It got super deep.
Especially with the last episode being talking about social media, and that was kind of not deep, but just kind of.
It was a heavy topic. It's a heavy topic for everybody because everybody's on social media.
Yeah, so we want something lighter. And yeah, so today we are talking about what?
Van life. And our experience with it.
Yeah, because if you didn't know, we did buy a conversion van before our wedding. And we used it for our honeymoon. Our main purpose was buying the van to use it for our honeymoon. That was honestly the main purpose of it.
Yep, that was the inspiration because we thought, hey, if we're going to be spending anywhere from $5,000 to $10,000 on a honeymoon, we might as well just put that as a down payment on a van.
So why not buy a $65,000 van?
Yes, why not?
Yes.
But we also had like the thoughts that we'd use it for when we shot weddings.
Yep.
And that would take away hotel rooms that for all of like our trips we'd be able to take it on. Business trips we'd actually be able to carry camera equipment because we'd have a lot larger of a vehicle.
Yep.
Just a lot of different uses for it. And yes, why not go right to the extreme of buying a conversion van?
And we like we said in our past videos, we did not plan on having a child that early. And so we were planning on doing these big trips that were road trips that we didn't have to have a hotel room. We could stay wherever we wanted to and do this for a couple of years and then have kids. But we ended up getting pregnant 2 months after we got married. So, yeah, that kind of changed plans once that all happened.
Yes. But let's talk about from the very beginning. So it was October of 2021.
Yep.
We ended up buying it from a business out of Colorado, a guy that just kind of started it up. He was going to college there in Boulder. And
because we saw other vans that we loved, but they were like 150,000 to like 170. It's like that's almost a house, at that time in the house market. Like that was almost a house that was actually pretty nice at that time. Now it's just ridiculous. It's like $300,000. You're kind of getting a nice house, but anyways, yeah, it was the vans that they were selling was just outrageous, and that was not in our budget. So
yeah, it's absolutely crazy how much that they run, even how much conversions run now too. If you buy like the van for however much money, the conversions might cost alone another like $40,000 to $50,000 on top of that.
And rightfully so. I mean, they're doing a lot of work and everything, and they have to make their money somehow. But it wasn't in our budget. So then I was looking on, I think, Van Life Trader or something online.
Yeah, Van Trader Life.
And we saw the company from Boulder, Colorado, right?
Yep.
And we're like, oh, this is a nice company. He started off, he was new. And so we ended up buying his van.
Yep. So I had a lot of conversations, and it took a lot of trust as well because, it was a huge purchase. We wanted to make sure we had to come down and see it. It's like, when do we have time to get down to like Colorado without?
Because we live in North Dakota.
Yep. So how are we going to get down there and actually check it out? And so it was a lot of moving parts that we had to kind of figure out.
Yeah.
So we ended up getting on the phone with the guy, FaceTimed him, he showed us the van. We loved it. We liked the price, especially compared to all the other vans. We flew down there And sure enough, like he met us at the airport with the van.
Yep.
We took a quick tour of everything. He showed us how to do everything. We handed over the check. We signed the papers, and we were driving back to North Dakota.
Yep.
So we flew down. It was like later in the afternoon, wasn't it? It was.
Yeah, because I feel like, did we fly down on a Saturday? Or maybe it was a Friday.
I think it was a Friday.
Because I think we might have gotten off work a little bit early. And then we flew down that Friday.
We flew Frontier. The tickets were literally $29 each.
Never again.
Before taxes and all that.
Never again.
We ended up bringing, add on a bag, all this other stuff. And I think our total trip for both of us one way down to Denver was about a little over $100.
Yeah, never again.
It was fine.
No.
Nothing was delayed.
Delta all the way.
Delta sponsor us.
Yes.
We need that. We need that in our life. So we flew down there, met us, great guy. And then we ended up driving about an hour and a half. I know we stopped at Chick-fil-A, drove about an hour and a half, and then we just stayed in a hotel parking lot.
Yeah.
And the good thing about the van that we had, and I know it's a lot, it's different for every single van, but ours was really stealthy. It was a smaller van. And so we could get away with staying in parking lots a lot of the time. And nobody would even think that we were camping out in it.
Yeah, because they would think that it's like a work van or something like that.
Yep.
But yeah, so then we went down, and this is right before our wedding. So just to remind you that we're doing this right before our wedding, that we still need to take time off, that we still need to take time off for our honeymoon as well. So it was really fun because then we stopped there, and I don't even know. It was still in Colorado, weren't we, or no?
Yeah, I think so, because we were debating about how far we wanted to drive back. We could drive all the way to Deadwood, but that was a long drive, and we were just exhausted.
Yeah.
So we ended up just stopping off, I think, in a random town.
Yeah.
And
it got pretty late.
It got really late.
Because we were waiting at the airport for a long time because they just got done with like some game or something.
And the airport was busy and just to get in, just a lot of different moving parts there as well.
Yeah. And then the next day we drove all the way home, I'm pretty sure.
Yep.
Yeah.
We did. So, yeah, that was the whole purchasing process. So then kind of over the course of the next few weeks, along with all the wedding planning and just kind of tying up the knots with work and getting ready to be gone for 2 weeks, we were also prepping the van and getting ready for that road trip.
Yeah, and prepping what we're going to do and where we're going to go.
And for our honeymoon, we had an idea, but we pretty much freeballed it.
Yeah, we had like the outline you were just saying, but it changed. I don't even know how many times. Like we went to one place and then we went back to another place, but we'll talk about that.
And we do have a honeymoon video coming out.
Yeah, I'm excited for that one.
Yeah, that we're working on right now. It's just so much footage that we're compiling together.
Yeah.
But that will kind of show you everything that we did, show us all the behind the scenes and the conversion bin and all that.
Yeah. Then leading up to it, we had our wedding and everything on November 6th, and then November 7th was a Sunday, so we just chilled and started to get ready, and then November 8th, that's when we left for our honeymoon.
Yep.
2 weeks. A 2-week road trip.
2-week road trip.
Our initial plan was to go from Bismarck, North Dakota, all the way to, was it Montana? Or no, not
you
Montana.
mean like you're talking about in the long run?
Yeah, the long run.
So we're trying to go all the way down to Lake Tahoe.
Yeah.
So that's the furthest south that we'd go. And then we'd go all the way up to Oregon, Washington area. And then we drive all the way back.
Yeah, that was kind of the rough outline. But we wanted to hit Vegas as well. And then we wanted to hit a couple other places that we didn't actually end up hitting. I think we wanted to hit up the Tetons, but we didn't.
Yeah, we wanted to come back up through Wyoming. We were debating about going through Oregon, Washington, and then also whether or not we're going to go through Wyoming.
Yeah.
So, yeah, just a lot of different things. And that's, I think, one of the biggest underestimators on every single road trip is you underestimate how much driving it takes to get certain places. And especially when you get to the bigger states out west, it takes a while to get through states.
And it's nice, having two people, because then you'll drive for like 5-6 hours, and then we would switch, and then I would drive 5-6 hours. So like we were sometimes driving though 10 10, 12 hours a day just to get somewhere.
Yep.
I remember we drove from Lake Tahoe all the way up to Oregon, or all the way to Washington.
All the way to Washington. That was a long drive.
That
I was
was
rewatching that footage today. It was tough.
I remember because I was driving into Washington and it
Yep.
was started to snow and I was going over that bridge.
Yep.
And it was sketchy because I mean the van is very, very nice. It was a
2013
Mercedes Sprinter.
Yep.
And it drove smoothly. It was, I don't know. I missed it, to be honest. So yeah, we back up, or no, fast forward kind of. We actually ended up selling the van.
Yep.
And we sold it last year. No. Yeah, last year.
Yep.
In July.
Yes.
Yes. Did I kind of skip some parts?
Yeah, you did.
Sorry.
It's all good. Yeah, so I mean, bringing it back to the honeymoon, we can kind of talk through a lot of what people envision van life to be. So like a lot of like the pros, but then also the cons.
Yeah.
So I think one of the biggest cons for me, and that it would have been just something we would have needed to install, we did not have a diesel fuel heater.
Mm-hmm.
And that was tough some nights, especially when you're staying in the cold.
Yeah.
So, yeah, not having that heater, that was kind of a game changer.
Yeah, and we didn't stay in too cold of climates during our honeymoon or during any other trips that we had. It did get chilly sometimes, but I couldn't imagine trying to stay in the van when it's negative 10 degrees outside or even 0 degrees outside.
If you're out, like you're staying in it while you're out skiing.
Yes. Like you want to come into a warm van. And we
Yep.
could have just turned it, like we could turn it on and then heat it up through that way. But then for one, you're wasting gas or diesel,
Yep.
and then for two, you have like that chance of it like coming back into your car, depending, you just never know.
There's a lot of different stuff or different things.
Yeah. So it's not, the diesel heater was already like how much it was.
It depends.
wasn't
If
bad,
you
but-
bought something off of Amazon, you could get away with having something decently cheap, like under $1,000. But if you wanted something that was top of the line, probably a lot more reliable,
Yeah.
you would have to go well above that. So,
Yeah, because we had a sink in there.
Yep.
Obviously, we had a bed. So we had a bed, and I really liked about our van is that it had storage underneath, under the bed. Like there
Yep.
was so much room to store things, and I think for our next van, if we were to do one, I think I'd want to like do the same thing, but then have them like blocked out so that it could not move, instead of just one big storage and just like have compartments for each thing.
Interesting. So you would not like having like drawers underneath?
Maybe. I don't know.
Because the way that we did it during our honeymoon, which was a little bit tougher, was that we just had our suitcases. It was great because it was wide open, so we could fit miscellaneous items underneath there.
Yeah.
But it was difficult having our suitcases underneath.
Yeah.
Because when we needed to go get clothes, we just had to open it up. And
But the nice thing is, like, when we did go stay into hotel rooms, we did have our suitcases.
that is true.
So that's my only thing. If we had the drawers and you have to go in, you're putting them in, like, plastic bags. I mean, unless you prepped for it. But,
Yes,
yeah.
that is true.
So we had the bed, and then we had the sink. That was just, like, 2-gallon sink. That was pretty easy
Yep.
to figure out. And then we had our propane stove.
Yep.
And we had, like, cabinets everywhere as well. And then we had, like, a little... It's kind of like a fridge. It was a fridge, but it was like
It's like a cooler fridge.
It was a cooler
So you
fridge.
plug it in, it's electric, and
It's
yeah,
electric.
it looks just it's electric, and it looks just like a cooler.
Yeah. But that's pretty much all we had, and that's all we really wanted. We did have a toilet, like a portable toilet, that we only used to go number one in.
Yes,
Yes, we never did anything else. in
because
it.
we cleaned that thing numerous times.
Yeah.
Like post trips, and even though it was urine, it was very
Ugh.
gross.
Yes.
And I could not imagine cleaning out number 2 out of
No.
that toilet. It would
No.
be so disgusting.
Yeah, and we didn't want one like built into the van either, or even a shower, because it's like we weren't going to be using it for long periods of like months on end being gone. We were just using it, like you said, for trips that were for weddings or for just going on a 2-week road trip. But we would always be next to like a hotel or something that we can always shower in
Yep.
or go to the bathroom. So
Yeah. So another con in my eyes was, so the toilet was kind of tough sometimes because, you know, if you are staying overnight and let's say you do get like the urge to have to go number 2, or even if you have to go like number 1, kind of combination with the cold.
Yeah.
You were already having blankets on, so you didn't want to get out, but okay, you get out and then you go to like the toilet. Again, you're just kind of out in the open, sitting down that thing, and yeah. I mean, it's not like the most ideal situation.
Well, I guess, and that is van life.
That is van life.
That is like you're gonna get very, very close to your significant other or whoever you're traveling with.
Yes.
If you're gonna use toilets in there, and the toilet was very, very small too. It was like you had to squat all the way down. I was in dance for years, so I'm like, it doesn't affect me at all. But seeing you like squat all the way down, I'm like, okay, it's good morning.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. And we also had the smaller wheelbase.
Yep, too.
And so there's a kind of a double, sided coin with that. With it being smaller, it was more stealthy. So people expected less, and also was more durable of, like, it actually had a decent turning radius. We had the ability to really maneuver. Parking was not bad by any means. No. It was easy to drive, really.
Yeah.
That was a huge pro. But if we went to the bigger wheelbase, again, pro would be that it'd be a lot bigger. We'd be able to fit more things in there. Might even be able to have a shower and toilet, what a lot of van lifers have.
Yep.
But it's not as stealthy. It might be a little bit more obvious, and it's harder to move around.
Yeah.
We've never had the experience of actually doing it, so we can't say it firsthand of what what it would be like. But with a smaller van, a little bit more compact and a little bit closer.
And it wasn't that hard to drive. The only thing is that you need a backup cam.
Oh yeah,
with
for sure
the van, and that's because we had curtains too to block off, for when we were sleeping, and then we also had blackout shades, blackout shades everywhere on each window, so that people couldn't see in at all when we were, they couldn't see anything. But that being said, we kept those up while we were driving on the back because, I mean, it just made sense to keep them up. It didn't make sense to keep always taking them down and everything. But you can't see out the windows, except the passenger window, obviously your driver window, and then your window that you're looking out of. But so you need a backup cam, and I think ours was just kind of, I mean, it was just an Amazon one. It was just a small one that he got, and then just put it right there. So,
and we requested that he put that in.
So I think next time, if we were to ever do that again, I don't know if we will, but if we do, we need a big backup cam that I can see everything. So.
Yep, I agree. So, yeah, I mean, those are some like the cons, but we can start to talk more about the pros.
Mm-hmm.
The thing that I absolutely loved was that you can always go and you can always stay. So one of the coolest stories was during our honeymoon. We were up in Rocky Mountain National Park.
Oh, yeah.
And all of a sudden we knew a storm was coming, but we didn't know how bad it was going to be. Well, it was full out snowing, pretty much blizzarding, and 40-mile-per-hour winds.
Well, when we got
while we're on a hike. Yeah, it was beautiful.
No, when we got there, it was just beautiful outside, like you just said, and it was sunny. There was like some snowflakes like here and there. But then, we were halfway through our hike, and it just starts snowing. Like, snowing.
Yeah, so from there, we were like, well, we're not going to travel all the way back to Denver, especially in the storm. So we ended up going back into Estes, and, again, like hotel rooms at that point might have been really expensive. We would have, paid probably through like the nose with them. In this case, we're able to just stay in our van, and it was so cozy.
Yeah.
We actually had just bought the Nintendo Switch. That's another story. Bought the Nintendo Switch, and we had our TV in there. And so we just cooked up some of our food on the stove.
Cooked up like noodles or something.
Yeah, cooked up noodles on the stove. Just kind of cuddled up in bed. We had the windows open, and we were watching like the snow kind of come in, and it was just it was really cuddly and
that's my favorite. I think from the
honeymoon.
The honeymoon. That's like very memorable of playing Mario Party on the Nintendo Switch and just watching the snow outside.
Yeah,
that was really fun.
And it's being nice and cozy.
Yeah.
So that's definitely a huge pro. That And that's a great example of it, that you're able to stay and stop anywhere.
Yeah.
And you also, as soon as you get up in the morning, there's no like having to repack and do all this other stuff. Yeah, you got to get the van ready to get moving, but you're just off and running and going to your next destination.
Yeah.
So yeah, that is definitely great. Again, there's always going to be ups and downsides with a lot of the things. Fridge space, limited.
Yeah.
Toilet space, limited.
I think next time, like if, again, I keep saying next time, I don't know if we're ever going to get a van again, we would actually have a upright like mini fridge and not a cooler one.
Yep.
Because like it was his first van that he built, and so that's what we got, the first van he built, which was really good for a first van. Now he seems like he's doing really good, and obviously improving van after van after van. So having the first van, there was also some problems with it that we didn't know until I think we reached Washington.
Yes.
We reached Washington on our honeymoon. So we had no idea when we bought it all the way up until we reached Washington on our honeymoon probably a month later.
Yes. So beyond our OCD of, again, like little cosmetic things as far as painting, some of the carpentry work, and then also some like the cabinets and stuff like that being a little bit off.
Yeah.
Again, once you get past your OCD, like you're fine.
And it was first van.
No, exactly. Yeah. Not blaming or anything like that. Yeah. We ended up staying in Airbnb in White Salmon, Washington, and it had rained. And so we ended up going out because we were driving the van to go grab something to eat. Our mattress was completely soaked.
Yeah, and we were trying to figure out, like, did we leave a window open? And that's what I think we kind of initially thought. But then it rained again. And then we realized we're like, it's leaking somewhere.
Yes. What our initial thoughts were that the back windows over top like the bed, that there was a little bit, like there's a crack.
Yeah.
And we thought, and we just figured that was coming through there and it just was not sealed properly.
Yeah.
So we aired it out as best we could, put towels in there, try to dry it out. And so then when we came back to North Dakota, it never, like, we didn't have a rain. It went right into winter.
Yeah. And so we figured, like, okay, it's fine. It must have just been like a fluke or something, or like the way that we were parked in White Salmon was just like that on the driveway, because the driveway was just like you go up straight, so you're like this going up. But so we just figured like the way of the angle or something, or we cracked it open. We had no idea, but it ended up going January. So then now we just found out we're pregnant. And we're trying to figure out what we're going to do with the van, for one. We're thinking, we'll sell the van. There's nothing wrong with it. It's perfectly fine. And, we took one more trip with it, I think, too. Yeah,
we took a trip to the Badlands and then took a lot of different business trips.
Yeah, here and there.
And so, kind of fast forwarding, so we ended up, taking pictures, did all that, all like the selling processes and put it up. And so, again, because like the winter, we never had rain, so we never got to see that it was leaking again.
Yeah.
It was just snow on top. And so until that started to melt in the spring, we didn't know we had a problem.
And it still didn't have a problem when it melted either.
Yeah, not really.
No. I mean, I didn't notice it.
So fast forward then to May, and now all of a sudden, like, we'd go in there and we saw that the mattress was soaked again.
Because we're trying to sell it.
Yes, because we're trying to sell it. So now all of a sudden we're like, what the heck is going on?
Yeah.
So we ended up messaging the guy that we bought it from, and he was, I don't know exactly the answer that he gave us.
He was very understanding, and he was saying that, hey, are you down in Denver or Boulder or anything anytime soon? I can fix it for you. And was very, very understanding, but we're like, we're not going to be there anytime soon. Like, we live in North Dakota. I'm like, it would be great if we could take that trip over there, but we don't have time to do that right now. Yep. Especially going through wedding season and filming all those and then being pregnant on top of that. So
we finally, again, we were so busy that we never even had a big chance of fixing it.
No.
And so then all of a sudden, it's getting closer to July.
Yep.
And so we had like the van finally for sale. We finally get a hit, 'cause I'm trying to think how long we had it for sale until finally somebody like reached out to us about it.
We had it for
We
like
had a few people here
couple
locally.
months, yeah.
But then one person that asked us was serious and said, "Hey, can I come and visit you or come and visit? I'm from Minnesota. My brother lives in town. Yeah." So we're like, "Oh my gosh, we have to figure what's going on."
Yeah.
So we took a closer inspection on top of the roof. And we started to notice like, hey, the caulking's still there, but it's just a little bit lifted, like what's going on. Started doing a little bit more research, talked to your brother quite a bit.
Yeah.
And we ended up finding out that so the paint job was a part of the van that we absolutely loved.
Oh, that's so
beautiful blue again. We showed pictures already. The paint job, of course, was done after the fact of the van being completed, with all like the renovations.
Yeah.
So the caulking that was used for the top of the roof and to seal everything was not cohesive with the paint. No. So when the paint was on, it ended up eroding and combating with the caulk, and so it just with the caulking, and then it just it just eroded essentially.
Yeah.
So it
lifted up, and so that's where it was leaking.
Yes.
And we had no idea. Like, it just kept leaking, and we were trying to put more caulking around it, but it still wouldn't work. And so my brother was like, "You just gotta take that stuff off. Like, you need to scrape it off with a razor or whatever, and then re-put it back on because it's not good anymore."
Yes. So fast forward to the middle of wedding season, right before we're going on our honeymoon or our baby moon, excuse me. This guy had reached out and said, "Hey, when can I come and visit?" We said, we're going to be gone for 2 weeks. After we're coming back on whatever date, you can come out and you can come and see it. So we thought we had some time to actually get everything fixed.
Well, he contacted us the day we left for our baby moon.
Yep. And
No, I know, but the day that we left for our baby moon, he contacted us and he's like, "Hey, I'm going to be in town this week." And I was like, "We're not going to be in town right now." I was like, "I'm so sorry." And he's like, "Oh, well, just let me know when you're back in town from your or from your baby moon." I'm like, "We still need to fix this thing. Like, we still haven't fixed it, and we just left for the baby moon, and now this guy wants to come." And so we're trying to figure everything out. And then went through our baby moon. It was a blast. Had fun. We didn't take the conversion van. We took a different van with your parents.
Yep.
And we came back, I think earlier. We came back a Thursday. And he was reaching out again. He's like, "Hey, are you back in North Dakota now?" And we said, "No, we'll be back tomorrow." But we actually got back on Thursday because we needed to fix the van. And we lied about saying that we...
Did we?
Yeah, we did. I lied to him because I was like, "We need to fix his van." Because he was in town and he wanted to come see it that Thursday night.
Yep.
But they were like, "Oh, no, we'll be back on Friday morning."
Yep. So, to add on to the story, so we just get back from the baby moon on that Thursday afternoon.
Mm-hmm.
We're looking up everything that we're going to need to be able to fix it. So we get dropped off here at the house, immediately get in the Kia Soul, drive over to Menards. We're at Menards, and the worst hailstorm that's probably hit Bismarck
in a long time.
In a few years hit. And so we're
like the hails were like they were golf or not golf, but they were bigger than golf balls.
Yep.
Golf ball size. They were huge.
So we're in Menards picking up everything. We have our cart working ready. Here the hail starts coming, so it's hitting the tin roof of the Menards. Everybody's just kind of looking out the window.
Yeah.
And we're like, "Guys, what are you doing? You're just watching your vehicles get absolutely smacked by this hail right now." So we
sprint out.
Like we get through like the checkout line, like we're getting going. So we sprint out to the car, get in it. So now we have the Kia Soul that's probably going to get hit. Whatever that is, like whatever.
It did.
But we're going to sell the van the very next day, and this hail is hitting our conversion van.
And we still need to do the new caulking around the entire thing because we need to fix it. Well, you can't do it when it's raining because it needs to be in a dry climate for 24 hours. Oh my gosh. So
we get back home, and finally I'm like, "You're pregnant," so it's like you go and just take care of like the house and start unpacking for the trip and everything. The rain finally ceases and the hail finally ceases. I get on top of this metal roof because we got to get this thing done, especially before dark now. And there's lightning and thunder still going off in like the far distance.
Yeah.
So scraped off all the caulking and had towels up there. And so I'm drying it off. Scraped it all off. And then we took new caulking that was actually cohesive with paint.
Yeah.
Sprayed it all on top, resealed everything. Let it dry. Just prayed that it wasn't going to rain that night. Didn't.
Yeah.
Praise God. Next morning, before we're going to meet him, we recaulked again just to make sure that everything had double coating on. Met the guy, super nice.
Mm-hmm.
Was doing something really cool with his work where they were all getting conversion vans and they're going to go and travel and do all that. So that was really neat. And sure enough, signed the deal, told them about it, said if you ever have any issues with it, let us know. And we'll figure out something. Have not heard from him since.
Yeah, so
must be super happy with it.
Yeah, I hope so.
I mean, you think we would have heard from him,
but yeah, so that's kind of our whole story with the conversion van. And the reason why we did sell it is because when we found out we were pregnant, we were trying to figure out how we could add another seat into the van, but since the van being so small and the way that it was built, it was kind of impossible to add another seat without compromising everything else.
We'd have to redo everything.
Yeah, so we'd have to redo everything. And we're just sitting there while it's like, well, we add one seat, but what about when we have a next kid? Then we have to add another seat. So we're just like, well, let's just sell the van and they'll be done with it. And so I think we're just kind of putting it up there just to see if we would actually sell it. And I was sad when we sold it. I honestly was very sad.
It was really sad. And we knew with Layla coming that trips would be put on hold for at least
a couple of years. Like those kind of trips.
Like, yeah.
Well, yes and no, because we're actually going to go on a road trip now in July. Again.
A couple road trips.
Yeah, and she'll be probably 10 months.
Yep. And so we just knew, like, with her, growing up, that wasn't going to happen right away. But then also, how would we have redone everything? So I think our hopes for the future and kind of how we left it was we'll just see where life takes us.
Yep.
And if we were to do a van again, we would build it out ourselves.
Yeah.
Or we'd have a company build it out.
Yeah.
Personalized to us.
Yeah. I'm glad we got to experience like van life per se for a little bit, but I don't know if it is us anymore. We did just buy a truck, which is a whole different story.
That is a different story.
And we sold the Kia Soul that I've had for... It's been in my family for about 12, 13 years. It's been in there for a long time. So,
and we have a lot. Not only do you guys have a lot of memories with it, but we also have a lot of memories, including our first road trips were in that Kia Soul.
So now switching it to the big truck, I think the truck might just be good enough instead of a van, like a conversion van, because you can haul everything in the back, and then, I mean, you're not going to want to be claustrophobic with all of your family in a conversion van. So
yes.
So I think van life is probably over for us now, but
for at least a while, and it can always change in the future. We'll always see
until the kids graduate, and then we start van life again.
Yeah, I think that's a valid point, and props to anybody who's able to do it with their entire families, because there's a company out in Fargo that your brother's really close with, the main owner of it.
Vanna. So shout out to Vanna.
And Vanna does an unbelievable job, and they've done such crazy conversions that can hold entire families. Things that I don't think has ever been done before. I've never seen it.
I've never seen it.
So that's amazing. It's something to consider. But with that being said, you make a very great point. It'd be tough to be able to travel in a van with your entire family.
Yeah.
Not if anything, we love camping.
Yeah. Oh yeah, we'll be camping all the time.
And we can always take the truck out. Heck, I mean, there's a lot of different possibilities that can happen.
Yeah. We'll see, because I mean, usually people travel in like RVs and everything, and that's a little bit different because you have so much space in the RV. Well, considering compared to a conversion van, and with a truck, it's like you're going to be staying either in a tent or you're going to be staying in a hotel room or wherever you're going to stay in. But yeah, we'll see where that leads us and everything. But at this moment, we're on pause for van life. It was fun while it lasted, and yeah,
see what the future holds. That's for sure. We will have to share the truck story sometime.
Oh my gosh, that was a disaster. I'm glad we have it now, but that was a whole disaster.
It was a roller coaster of emotions.
We were there for 6 hours.
Yes.
With a baby.
Are we going to talk about it right now?
No.
Okay.
Sorry, I just wanted to explain that.
You're good. We will
Still
share
salty.
that. Yeah, we'll share that in another either podcast or another like video.
Yeah.
But we have it. It's probably our dream truck. It's something that we've wanted and talked about for years now.
Yeah.
And here it is.
I'm excited. But thank you everybody for coming in today and watching this 4th episode. We will see you in the next one when it's finally nighttime.
Good night.